You hear that? You hear that? That's special. There's a lot of lions, tigers, and bears, but there ain't but one razorback.
McFadden, say goodbye. Darren McFadden, 80 yards, touchdown.
Football, deep left field. Out of here. Madden for maybe the win. I think he just made SportsCenter again.
Arkansas is in hog heaven. They won the first ever national championship.
All I want you to do tonight is play your best. Don't worry about making a mistake. You can make a mistake, that's fine, as long as you're going 100 miles an hour.
Welcome into this emergency pod of the Woo Pig Weekly podcast. We're here joined by former Razorback wide receiver Javontee Herndon. And sure enough, the news broke on Twitter, X today, whatever you want to call it. Bobby Petrino rides again in Fayetteville. And so we're just going to have a quick discussion here of, what that means to these fans, what we can expect, and kind of get some insight here from Javontee on, he played for him, so he understands kind of what kind of coach he is, what kind of culture he's going to bring in, and some of those X's and O's and things of that nature that he can bring back to this offense that kind of, quite frankly, was lacking in a major area this year. So we'll start with you. Your quick reaction to what does this mean to this Arkansas fan base and this program that Bobby Petrino is returning back?
Man, first I'd like to point out, too, I also played – I didn't play for Pittman, but he was there my last year, too, so I know both of them pretty well. But it was – I'm so excited. Like, I'm ready to go to the spring game. I'm ready to go to the first game of the season. I'm excited to see the offense. The offense has been very disappointing this season. So I know it's going to be discipline for sure. It's going to be a lot more discipline. One of the issues that I struggled with watching the last couple of years is what is our identity on offense. So I think that with Coach Petrino, we're going to have an identity again. He is a pro-style offensive coordinator. We ran everything when I played for him. Under the center, shotgun, 5 wide, whatever you want to call it. So he has the capability to do it all. He coached Lamar Jackson in his Heisman Trophy campaign, so he can coach a running quarterback if that's what you want to call Lamar. I just think he's a great athlete. But it's going to be a lot of excitement again. I cannot wait. I still know a lot of the play calls, so I'm going to be watching the games, calling the plays out. Can't wait to look forward to doing that again. But it's going to be a lot more excitement and definitely a lot more discipline on the offense. And I'm looking forward to the discipline for sure.
Yeah, and so kind of on the flip side of that, from a fan take, Seth, what are you thinking with the news that broke today with him returning to call plays on the sideline?
A lot of the same things, honestly. I think there needs to be a lot more discipline on offense. That's a great point. Then me and Caleb were actually talking before the show, kind of how we think that just from a fan's outside perspective, and we don't know this maybe as much as you do, but it seems like Bobby's been able to do more things with the players that he's got, and he adapts his offense to the utilization of the players to the best of their ability. Mm-hmm. And maximizes their potential. Whereas some of our coordinators in the past, maybe especially this past season, I don't feel like Danny Enos did that very well. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt about it. I don't feel like his offense meshed with KJ, and I feel like he tried to force KJ into his style. Whereas Bobby, for example, you've seen it. He's done well with a pro style quarterback. He's done well with a mobile style quarterback. Some of those in between guys. Mm-hmm. He does well in the run game. I mean, on top of that too, and you can tell that he schemes around his players' attributes to kind of hide their weaknesses, if that even makes sense. And so I'm expecting a lot of good things from him just from that aspect alone. I think he's better at that than a lot of OCs out there, and that's something that the Hawgs need bad. I think that's why he was such a good head coach that made a lot of 3-4-star guys look like 5-star guys out there that were just we had freak athletes when he was around, and you were one of them, frankly. So it was really, really fun to watch those offenses back then. And from a fan's perspective, if we can get even a glimmer of what you guys used to have, I think us fans will be very, very happy. You match that with the improvements that they made on defense this past year. They can sustain some of that. Mm-hmm. There's potential in the next year, 2, 3 years, if he stays around that long, if the system's able to build. there's potential for this to be a really balanced team overall.
Right. Yeah, I think the addition of him with the improvements that our defense made this season, we have a big opportunity this upcoming season. Obviously, we had to make some kind of splash with this hire, given just the state of the program at this point. But one thing that you touched on about his play calling is one of the things that I was frustrated with a little bit with Enos. And I'll be the first to admit I'm a huge Dan Enos guy. Obviously, I didn't play for him, but I was a fan of him when he coached Brandon Allen at Arkansas. When he went to Maryland, I loved his offense. But like you said, I don't think he schemed his play calling to match his players. He tried to make the players match his style of play calling, which we got 6'3" and 6'4" guys running bubble screens. Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So I still am a huge fan of Dan Enos. I think he'll be a great coordinator. I was honestly looking forward to the improvements that would have been made next season if he stuck around. But I understood the nature of the business when somebody had to go. It wasn't working out. I definitely wish him the best. I never met him, but I am a huge fan of what he was able to do. So I'm just looking forward to the future. I think that he does have the potential to still call plays in the future, but I am a Petrino guy. That's my guy. I was a 2-star player, and he if it wasn't for Petrino, I don't know. I don't think I would be where I am today. I played in every single game my college career. I attribute that to Coach Petrino. He made sure that I knew everyone's position. X, F. I think that's what we called it when Joe was playing in the slide. X, it was W, X, W to Z, and I think that's just one of the things that is missing. Like nothing meshed this year, and I was actually talking to Ronnie Wingo earlier today, and we were going back and forth when the rumors started going around, and it's just frustrating as former players knowing the potential and seeing all of the new facilities and all the stuff that they have going on. And I see it as it's the house that Bobby built. So he's coming back, and it's going to be great to see what he's able to do. I hope he has a lot of success, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. And Caleb, I do plan on showing up a little bit more this year. So just give me a heads up on that.
Yeah, we're glad to have you back. And so, from a player's perspective, give us an idea. So if you're a guy like maybe KJ Jefferson, with this news, with not having the best year this year compared to the previous season, for a guy like him, would you consider now coming back for that 6th year and playing under a guy like Bobby Petrino to help possibly improve your draft stock?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to look at it two ways. KJ would have to look at it from his point of view. Would it make sense for him? That would depend on the draft grade and the people that are around him. And then the coaches will also have to look at it from their point of view. Can he help us this next season? Like, you have to be fair on both sides. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a guy like Pittman around, because he's a straight shooter. I laugh at a lot of times in his interviews. People get pissed off when he does the I don't know thing. But if you know Pittman like I know Pittman, he's a straight shooter. Like, he's going to tell you exactly how it is. I think he kind of dumbs it down when the cameras are on out of respect for the people around him. But I think there are some conversations that are going to need to be had to figure out if KJ works for what they want to do in the future. I don't think KJ had the season that he wanted this year, so it could be a possibility. But again, I think it depends on the conversations that they have and probably come to an agreement.
Yeah,
I agree with that take. There's all kinds of rumors already going around about him potentially transferring out if he doesn't want to go with another offensive coordinator 3 years in a row, which is understandable. But anywhere you go, you're still going to be with somebody new. So I've kind of got mixed feelings on if he'll even do that or not. But
yeah,
even outside of KJ, you got to look at the rest of the quarterback room too. There's a lot of talent there, but are they the players that Petrino wants to coach, or does he want to go grab somebody out of the portal? It's such a new game nowadays. It's going to make this whole offseason be wild. I'm excited to see what happens, and it's crazy to think about. But go ahead, man.
It's just so much to think about now. Yeah, I mean, with the quarterbacks, I mean, granted, KJ has every record, or he broke all these records this year. Out of respect for him, I feel like he deserves to have the opportunity to decide his future. And whatever he chooses, we have to accept that. He gave us everything he had for his 3 years. Me personally, and again, I am a fan of KJ. I appreciate everything that he's done for the university. I've been looking forward to what Jacoby Criswell can do for months now. I've told Caleb that in the past. Obviously, we haven't had a real good chance to see what he can do with our offensive line issues. With the way the season was going, I was hoping he got a lot more reps and some of the live game action with the ones and things of that nature. But I don't know much about him. I haven't been around the program enough recently and the most recent years. But from what I've seen as I've been away, I've been impressed by Criswell. I think he has a strong arm. I've been looking forward to seeing what he can do. And again, with the new transfer portal, we don't know what's going to happen, but at least we got something to look forward to now. So I think that's good for the program in general.
Yeah, and you mentioned that with the transfer portal, you see already Pittman he did it the previous season. We were struggling on defense. He went out there and addressed those needs and really brought in some guys that really were key contributors this year. Well, you already see that started this year with him already getting the number one overall lineman in the transfer portal that's coming over from Michigan State. So I think that we're probably going to see that happen this year, except on the offensive side of the ball and the offensive line where, everybody that's been in the struggle all season, it was very clear that everybody likes to say the offense wasn't able to do its thing, but it's hard to do anything whenever you snap the ball and you don't have 1-2 seconds before you have defenders just, flying around. And so with an improved offensive line, and that's one thing I would like to see next year is maybe Pittman have more hands-on approach to the offensive line, let Bobby handle everything else. But, if you're an offensive line guru, that's, what your specialty is. And after the way this year went, I think you've definitely got to have a hands-on approach in this next season and really make the improvements to that offensive line.
Yep. I think with that being said, I think that, is a benefit of bringing in a guy like Coach Petrino. He can give him some head coach experience and knowledge in that atmosphere because Coach Petrino, everyone knows he's an offensive guy. But one of the things that I benefited from having a coach like that is I used to know the offensive line's protections. We used to know if they call 70, okay, this is quick game. If they call it 470, this is drop back game, things like that. We learned the blitz schemes and blitz pickup. So if we saw a certain blitz coming, we would know, okay, we're going to audible to this. I was watching games this year and I'm like, man, when are they going to call out or when is someone going to point out a blitz coming? You know what I mean? Like, obviously we know that it's going to happen because of the struggles on the O-line, but when are the players on the field going to actually point it out and notice it? So I think things like that is going to get cleaned up with Coach Petrino because he expects you to know that, and he won't allow you to be on the field if you don't know how to anticipate things like that and call it out and make adjustments. So I think that'll be another benefit of having him come back and right the ship, especially on offense.
I think that's the great take. We've actually talked about it in a couple episodes back, how it never seems like we call audibles. We call a play, roll it in there, and you can see there's a free corner blitzer or something like that, and we never adjust out of it. Never switch the run direction to chip him or something if it's a play action, like nothing. We never changed anything. We ran the play that was called in, whether the defense matched up with it or not. I mean, you could see that even from a lowly little fan's perspective that I don't know very much about football. I mean, I know a lot compared to some fans, but I don't know anything compared to players and coaches, not even close, and even I could see some of that stuff coming.
Yeah.
People trying to disguise stuff wasn't very disguised, and even I could, call it out and be like, we did nothing to try to pick up a free blitzer like that, and we were horrible against stunts. It was just bad, but not fun to watch. But one thing I'll point out real quick too, that I think Petrino is going to bring in is just I think he does bring an added layer to quarterback recruiting. This is something that Caleb and I were also talking about kind of prior to the show. There's already some tweets or whatever they're called now going around where Kane Archer out of Greenwood, who's going to be one of the higher rated quarterbacks coming out of the state here in 2026. It's kind of looking down the future a little ways, but he was already tweeting about Bobby Petrino coming back. That Petrino has always been good with Greenwood quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. So it's really exciting to see something like that, which frankly, Kane Archer is a kid that Yeah, we've speculated that if the offense situation stays the way it does, he's not going to come to Arkansas. He's going to go somewhere where he can probably be a little bit better, a little bigger name. But you keep Petrino around for a couple of years, and you're able to keep a guy like that in state, which is something that Petrino was phenomenal at back in his prime, at keeping the really good talent in state. That's huge, and that's something I think that we've kind of regressed on the last couple of years. So obviously, Pittman is a great recruiter. I think adding Petrino adds a whole nother level to that, especially with the way the transfer portal is. I mean, heck, he might bring a couple guys with him from A&M. I don't know. I mean, the opportunities are they're going crazy in my head, man. It's going to be a wild offseason.
Yeah, two things that you said. What you said made me think of two separate things. Obviously, Greenwood America, as we used to call it when I was in school. Tyler Wilson, number one. And then I'm not familiar with Kane Archer just because I'm not in the state anymore. But I do know that he's a big time recruit. It made me think of Joe Adams, who was committed to USC, and in comes Bobby Petrino and signs to the University of Arkansas, Joe Adams. So that is the first two things that I thought of when you said that. So again, Bobby Petrino, I mean, I do know Coach Petrino is a great quarterback guru. And I also know that Coach Pittman is one of the best recruiters. You can say what you want to about him, but those guys at Georgia, all those O-linemen that went first round, you can probably check out who recruited them there. So we do have a lot going for us. We just need to get it figured out. And I think Coach Petrino would definitely help us on offense for sure.
Yeah, you mentioned, that flip from Joe Adams. I saw a lot of people, saying the first person that Petrino and Pittman's living room needs to be in is one of your former teammates' cousin, Ryan Wingo.
Yeah.
They need to go talk to him ASAP and see if they can get a flip over from Texas.
Yeah. I didn't even think to talk to Wingo about that this morning. I think we were just so excited that Coach P was coming back. But that's a good point.
Yeah,
strings, man.
The possibilities are endless. With, like you said, this offseason is going to be crazy. Between, you have two types of recruiting you're going to have to recruit out of the portal to replace some guys that are inevitably going to leave due to their own reason, whatever it may be, and then your high school guys. Maybe you can go out and maybe flip some guys that originally had maybe thought about Arkansas, but now that you've got a new OC that is, can put up some numbers on offense, that changes your mind a little bit and changes the perspective of kind of what you think of the university. So that's going to be what I'm interested to see, how this is addressed. We're officially in off season. This week Pittman said they were talking to in-house guys. So you want to come in, essentially recruit those guys and let them know what you're all about. And then after that, start focusing on some of those high school kids. Is, signing day is only a couple months around the corner. So, how do you think how that approach is going to be? Like, you've been through a coaching change. What is it like for a new guy to come in and talk to guys that are there? And like, what can you expect from that situation?
I think you want to know the truth. That's the biggest thing. I mean, obviously when you're going through the recruiting process, they tell you everything that you want to hear. You're the best player to ever play the game of football. When you have new coaches coming in, you just want them to be open and just be real with you. I think one of the things that I struggled with my last year that at Arkansas was just trying to understand going from Coach Petrino's offense and then hearing the type of offense that Coach why can't I even say his name right now? Coach Bielema, that he ran at Wisconsin. So there needs to be some validity in the information that you're sharing with the players, especially with the kids these days. Now they have social media, they got TikTok, they got all that stuff. They want to be seen. They want it to be the best thing, smoking with the NIL and all that good stuff. So you got to relate to these players, but you also got to be honest with them. Like, hey, this is my style of offense. This is how we're going to run things. And then with Coach Petrino, it's easy for him. Like his numbers don't lie. It's not like he never coached there before. He can cut up some old film, Joe Adams, Greg Childs, Jarius White, Kobe Hamilton. I wish I would have had him my last 2 years because we had it set up to be great, and things just didn't work out that way. But it's not like he can come in there and just blow a whole bunch of smoke. Like the everything is there. And then one thing that I did want to touch on is there has to be some type of patience as well with the new offense. With Enos, I think obviously somebody had to go again. It just wasn't a good fit. But Coach Petrino, a lot of people were talking about, at Texas A&M, he was a middle of the road guy. He probably wasn't what they were expecting. He didn't recruit those players there. He wasn't at the bottom of the offensive categories. And it takes more than a year to install the offense for sure. It also takes more than a year to recruit your guys to run that offense. But the good thing about Petrino is he's going to make the offense fit the players that he has. It's not like he has one specific type of offense that he runs, because he's proven that he can, like you said before, he can do different things with different types of players. So I think he has that going for him as well. So it's going to be some type of patience. It's going to be some growing pains for sure. But at the same time, you want to know the truth. Like, am I your guy? Do I have a chance to play here? You know what I mean? Does it make sense for me to fit in your offense, or would it be better for me to enter the portal and go somewhere else? Like, that's the type of conversations that these players nowadays will want to be having with the new coaches on the offense.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think one thing you can look at, like you said, you're going to have patience when you're installing this new offense. And what can definitely help kind of speed that up a little, not like a ton, but a little bit, is if you go out and get some portal guys that have college experience already. That's going to be easier to install offense compared to, incoming freshmen and, guys that haven't been as active. But you get, you bring in one or two guys that have heavy experience, started or starting players wherever they are coming from. I think that gives you an extra edge up whenever you're trying to install a new offense under a new regimen, if you will.
I mean, offense is not rocket science. A lot of it is the same stuff, just dressed up, some motions, some formation changes, but a lot of it is the same. So like you said, if you have experience on a college level, it's a lot easier to pick up the offense 100%. And then again, like, you fit the offense to your players. Coach Petrino does a great job of it. Everything that you run in practice the week of, you can expect to run that in the game. He's not going to call up something that you ran the first day of training camp and you haven't seen it since. So he prepares you for everything that you're going to do. Every single week when Coach Petrino was there, we had a test before the games. Every position group had a test. If you didn't pass that test, unless you were like one of the best players and you were a starter, good chance that you were not going to get on the field. That's where I got on the field, because I always passed those tests. So, I mean, he prepares you better than any coach that I've been around. He makes sure that you know your stuff. And again, he does it all. So you can't not like a guy like that.
That's awesome to hear. I've never heard about the testing stories. I think one item I know I don't want to hit on real quick before we let you go, but I think this was a pretty good hire from Pittman. Obviously, I think it's going to resonate well with certain fans. It's going to maybe not resonate well with other fans. I really don't know yet. I think one of the biggest things about Petrino is he does it. I think that was something that really kind of showed through, that I think Barry Odom really did kind of help carry some of those duties for Pittman early on in Pittman's career, and it kind of helped things out there. Everything kind of was smooth from that side of things. I don't feel like we ever had any issues knowing when to call timeouts or not call timeouts to kick field goals or get delay games and then punt, which I'm expecting some of those things to get in, have some improvement, just from our head coach himself. But then I think bringing in a guy like Petrino that has that previous head coach experience, very similar to, how Barry Odom was in the defensive coordinator role a couple years back, I think that only bodes well for Pittman. And I think that was a smart move to go out there and get somebody that's got that much experience under their belt from an OC standpoint, plus a head coach standpoint. So I'm excited to kind of have that added layer of help for Pittman. I think it's only going to bode well for us from an X's and O's standpoint and game time decisions of that nature. I think that's where we did struggle a lot this year, was incapable of making those critical decisions. And Petrino's not the guy that's incapable of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, and one thing that I thought of while you were saying that is some people I think it's both a positive and a negative with Coach Pittman. Some people might say that he's not as hands-on as he should be, which I agree. He needs to be more hands-on with the O-line because he's an O-line guru. That's how he got to where he is. I think it's going to benefit that he might be a little bit hands-off with Coach Petrino running the offense the way he wants to. A lot of people, when Coach Petrino got hired to A&M, didn't know if he would mesh well with Jimbo Fisher because they didn't know who was going to be running the show, you know what I mean? So I think that's another added benefit. I think because they don't have personalities that might collide or crash with each other, I think that also helps. They have way two completely different coaching styles. One of them, Coach Pittman, is a lot more laid back. So I think that'll help them kind of get along better, so to speak, because we know Coach Petrino, there's videos out there. He can be fiery. I've gotten cussed out plenty of times. But I mean, he wants to win, and we desperately need to win right now. It's been a long time since we won. So I think I love the hire. I think it will have a lot more benefits, and I'm looking forward to turning this thing around.
Well, there you have it. We pulled up this emergency pod with the news breaking today. You heard it here first from Javontee on his experience with Coach Pittman, what he thinks that it could do for this program. And as we wrap up here, Seth, Javontee, you have anything else before we get out of here?
Go Hawgs, man. I'm so happy. I can't wait to get back.
We're big, man.
We'll be back very soon.
Yeah,
Appreciate you coming on, Javontee.
Absolutely. Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, so Hog fans, be on the lookout. You might see Javontee at some games in the next few seasons with his former head coach returning to Arkansas as the new offensive coordinator for the Razorbacks.
You'll see a lot of us. Now, Wingo, we've already been talking. Kobe, we're gonna get a lot of us back on campus. I think it'll help the guys that are there. I think it'll help recruiting. Obviously, though, they have a lot more noticeable names than I do, but we're all going to be up there as much as we can, and we're definitely looking forward to it. So I can't wait to see what happens.